Hello, everybody. Welcome to, whoops, let me make sure. Yeah. I hope you, whoops. No, let me see. Okay. All right. I had the sound plugged in the wrong place. Hello, how are you? Hello, Diane. 57, Annette, Marcia, Kathleen Ziegler, Cheryl Hogan. Goodness gracious. Hello, everybody. And I got Cheryl Hogan's house flux today and our house block today, and it is precious. And look how she stitched. Whoops. Look how she stitched a heart on it. Isn't that the sweetest? I love it. And I knew that your blocks would turn out this good. So, and anybody who's doing the blocks, I was looking yesterday and I said, you know what? I have a couple people and these names aren't the same. So I did a whole count again. There's 13 participants. So I apologize. Wow, Cheryl, that got here fast. That's wonderful. So anyway, there's 13 of them. So I hope I've gotten in touch with everybody to say, I'm really, really sorry I missed this because somehow the number just popped up. So Annette Parsons, who's here with us tonight, I don't know if you had her name or Diane 57's. Those were the two newest in the group. And I'm so happy we have so many. And so I wrote on the blog, on the group's IO, I said, you know what? We could take the blocks and make a house with them and have a little A gable as the 13th block. So just something to think about. But so I have a brand new address sheet that has all 13 people, and you can double check everything. And I put it on the site, but I'll also shoot you a copy by email if you email me and let me know. But I am so sorry. I knew we had 11. Then I knew Diane 57 came in, and I totally forgot about Annette, but I'm so tickled that she's willing to do these. So that's wonderful. Oh, you got blocks from Cheryl and the two Cheryls. Cheryl with a C, Cheryl with an S. That's wonderful. So here I'll show you. It doesn't look like I got much done, but I promise I did spend time on it. When I was doing the reverse applique, it takes a while. So here is my block right now as it stands. And you can see that I did some reverse applique, and now I'm coming back in and I'm doing the thread painting. So it's coming along. I've got my box of supplies over there. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to finish this one maybe by next week. So anyway, yeah, and I've got a picture from Kathleen Ziegler that she was working on hers today. Who else? Yes, and I'll make sure I can either shoot you an email with Annette's address in it, or you can go look on our group's IO, and I have I pinned a new email about, oops, we have 13 people. I'm so sorry. So I have to make 5 blocks really fast. So, oh, you haven't started you've been busy, Cheryl, doing the COVID quarantine. We've got to come up with a good name for that quilt. So I'm going to ask people to be thinking about what do we want to name our Heart at Home quilts that has something to do with the group and how we've helped each other get through this crisis. So yeah, y'all been working on houses, so I totally understand. And but anyway, I'm getting there. I'm coming up. You can see it looks like a lot of worms right now. And what I'll do is I have my machine threaded, and then I have some yellow and an orange and some more yellows. And look at this hologram. That'll go very last. Then I've got some more oranges, a gold, and that's not a metallic gold, just gold and white. So I have these threads, and I'm going to work on thread painting with you tonight. So, because thread painting makes a huge difference. As you can see here, I was trying to shade some more orange in the planet and then do some of the little orange craters with the thread. And you can see, oh, I also added more fabric. And then see the dark fabric I added to give that some depth. But right now, these look like worms. So don't worry. I'm going to use thread painting and make them look like molten worms. But I'll make them look right. But this is, for right now, I'll show you which inspiration I'm doing mostly. This one right here. Okay, so you can see the round crater there. Then see all those little craters? Now, I did the two bigger craters. Those two right there I did with reverse applique. This is reverse applique. These, I'm only going to do some of them. But let me see if I can hold these both up so you can kind of see. Now, I don't do an exact copy. I kind of do my own thing, but you can kind of get an idea of where I'm going with it. So, but once I add all the thread painting, it's really gonna, remember what I said too, when you get about 2/3 of the way into your art quilt, it will look like a 12-year-old teenager. Gangly, awkward, maybe with promise, but you're not sure. And so don't worry, just keep going with it. I promise it will work out. And it always does. You know, sometimes when I look at mine, I think, why did I start this? Why? So, and I think I saw, Kathleen Ziegler said hello to all that were here, but she left the O off hello. And so it froze her comment. So you're okay now. So that is so cute. That is so cute. Yeah, you caught it. Good. So anyway, I'm excited about our block exchange. That cough reminds me, I was watching a woman who is recovering from the coronavirus, and she talked about how that she bought a little pulse oximeter. And that just means one of those little things you put on your finger that checks your pulse and your oxygen level. So they call it a pulse oximeter. And we went to our CVS because I checked first, and they had a couple, 3, I think, because they're out everywhere. And we bought one last night because with me having such bad asthma, if I were to get this, I need to check on how my oxygenation level would be. And Mark was like, yeah, let's go get one. So it was about $42 with tax. And he went up he went to the drive-thru and said, my wife called and asked about this, and I was told to come to the drive-thru. No problem. Handed it out to him. He was safe and careful. Our state, I'm in North Carolina, and we've made national news a couple times lately because we just had a busy last week of increasing cases. About a month ago, I told Diana Wright, we only had 85 cases in our county. Now we're up to over 800. So we're still being very careful. And my husband had a work meeting today, and they said, it looks like it could be September or the new year before they actually go back into work. And, I've gotten used to having him here, and I'm happy. I'm happy when he's here. And he gets all of his work done. He's really good at being able to focus while at home. So I love that, Kathleen Ziegler. Oh, I'll have to, you know what? That'd be good to cross stitch on a little sign. You're exactly right. In fact, I ordered a new thing today too, believe it or not. I said, Mark, I want to spend $10, $20. And I said, I found a Robert Kaufman home perfect or something like that. You remember how about 4 years ago, Robert Kaufman did the cityscape and it looked like New York, maybe some buildings from Chicago. It was kind of, a collage of different famous tall buildings. Well, that's the quilt that I did all the thread painting on. I did the trapunto work and then I put lights on it, poked from behind. Well, now he has one, but they're all like townhouses, row houses in cities. And I said, I want that panel because I'm going to do the same thing that I did to the city lights. I'm going to do some trapunto and give shape to the buildings, and I'm going to do thread painting to decorate the houses, and then I'm going to put a set of lights behind it. So be looking for that. Maybe in about a month I'll be starting that because it's going to take a couple weeks to get in. I ordered my fabric from Hancock Fabrics, and they had a little, right now during this busy time and careful time, they're hello, Miss Cheryl Lemon, who's been giving me great things to think about and few chuckles along the way. And so anyway, when I get that Robert Kaufman, it's homes. I don't remember right now. I should remember the name of it, but I did find it. It's one of the digitally printed panels, and Hancock's had those in, and there's a daytime one and a nighttime one. I got the nighttime view so I can stuff all the little lights behind, but you'll actually get to see how I put the lights behind the quilt. So that will be good. Oh, Kathleen, did you go to the pineapple? Oh, did you go in person or online? Maybe it was what's the Keepsake Fabrics? So that's nice. All right. Well, let me see. I think I'm going to take one of these spots that looks like a worm right now, and I'm going to show you how to turn it into a molten. See this one right here? That's the one I'm going to work on right now. So let's see if we can turn it from a gummy worm, which is what it looks like now, online. Ah, good. Yeah, they've had a few good sales. I've seen some fabric for $3.99, but I'm trying to be careful and only get what really knocks my socks off, and this Robert Kaufman digital print did. So, and don't forget, I'm going to be starting, I moved it out of the way, but, let me go get it because I really want to show you this. Okay, where is it? All right. So I found this quilt in the McCall's magazine. It's called Covered Buttons, and I went nuts over it. And it's not as hard as you think because it's cut from ombre fabric. So I think we're going to start working on this Sunday. But see how you take and cut all these triangles from ombre fabric. And I have been doing so much teal lately that I wanted to go back to blue and make it look more space themed because, because of my mark, I love anything to do with outer space. And that had that look. So I said, I'm going to go back to my original favorite color, which is blue. So here is the fabric I got. And I forgot again. I think I got this order from fabric.com. But it goes from very, very dark to very, very light. And so I had to get extra yardage so I would have enough to get all of the dark places I needed. So I'll probably start on that. And the only thing that's going to be a little tricky is curved piecing. And I've now learned that curved piecing is not as bad as you think. You just have to just sew a little slower. And if I can sew slower, I know y'all can do it. So isn't that a pretty blue? Oh, thank you, you sweetheart. I did I put a little mousse on my hair before I curled it. When I took out the curlers, it was crunchy. I said, I might have used a little too much mousse, but I'll show you what I mean, because I bring my curlers downstairs so I can work. But this Max Hold mousse, if I want my hair to hold shape, it's raining outside. It's very humid. And so I'll put a little bit of that and put it through my dry hair and then brush it through and then put my curlers in. I took the curlers out and it was crunchy, but at least it'll hold for a little while. So thank you so much. All right, let me get the camera down here. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm going to put my holder, my copy holder in front of me because I'm a little monkey see, monkey do. So what I'm going to do is bring the camera down. I have my copy right there and my sewing machine right here. And let me bring the light down so y'all can see good. All right. Now, I'm going to take this gummy worm. Oh, yeah, we had to turn our heat on, too. You're right. Oh, hello, Kirsten Cook. How are you, hon? I recognize that name. Welcome back. I am so tickled. I am, and earlier I had to pull some stitches because this is supposed to be a dark area, and I started putting some orange stitching in. So I took those out. All right. Now what I want to do is let me turn this down. What I want to do is this is supposed to be a molten area that's broken through. And you see I used a orange and yellow fabric. Great fabric. Let it do the work. And then what I'm going to do is come in here and just do some little stitching to show that glow from the molten heat. And I'm just going to stitch back and forth, and see how easy my feed dogs are up. My feet, let me get my fan on. I'm having a hot flash here. Okay. All right. So let me see if I can get you a little more. I think, hold on. Oh, Mark tightens these things up so tight that I can't get them undone. He's too strong for me. Okay, let me see if I can get this. Aha. Whoops. No, don't touch any buttons, Deb. I don't want to knock us off of here. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. So I just take and put my hands down. Now, if I keep forgetting to look for my gloves. I just remembered something I was supposed to do that I didn't do today. I was supposed to look for my tiger that I've done thread painting on, and I forgot to find it again. I thought for sure I'd have this room cleaned up by the day. So let me just show you real quick what I'm doing, what it looks like. You see how I'm just doing the regular straight stitching back and forth? When I do this around here, it will give it that glow look. Okay? So I'm going with this dark color first, and then I'll come back in. I'll come back in with a lighter thread, and I'll get lighter and lighter. Okay, and I just pull it back and forth as I go around. But it would, right now I have my hands pushed down real hard because I am working against the feed dogs. And if I wanted to be gentler on my hands, I would find my Machinigers gloves or any kind of sticky glove. Or should I say grippy glove? I'm looking for my scissors. Okay. I like going from left to right, so I'm going to come out here to the end and work my way back. And I only want this glowing area to be about 1/4 of an inch. So I just watch and try to keep it relatively even. And this is just, and you keep your machine at a pretty good speed to make sure you don't accidentally yank on the needle too hard. Because if the needle's constantly moving up and down, you can move it back and forth without breaking a needle. I've never broken a needle doing this. Okay. So, let me show you this, and then I'm going to turn the fabric around and do it the other way. And this is a technique I've just developed. And you can find whatever works for you. But see that? So as I add lighter colors and then even a little bit of like this holographic, this will look nice and molten-like. And see, it looks a little less like a gummy worm. But don't, as I said, do not worry when you're working on your quilts and you're thinking, that doesn't quite look right. Do not worry because it will come along. All right, so now I'm just going to fill in around here. These have little V shapes and they come out a little more. So, okay, cut that. So see how that the end was a little bit longer. And in some areas, it's not going to have, it's going to be a little shorter than 1/4 of an inch. So check your inspiration and then vary it. Like here, it looks like it's a little shorter, then it comes back out. Make sure you've got the if there's any movement, if the molten rays are going one way or another, make sure you copy that. And you saw me when I move around, if I need to go from one side to another, then what I do is just kind of run close to the body of it, because if I run across here, you'll see it. So just when you move from one area to another, run closer to the dense part of the fabric and you won't notice the stitches as much. Okay, now here, okay. All right, let's see. All right, so now what I'm going to do is change threads very quickly. And I have my bobbin is just gray thread. And now I'm going to go to a lighter orange. And sometimes this may seem a little too fussy to you, but I find that giving it a shot, trying, and see what I come up with is worth it. Okay, let's see. Sorry, it takes me just a second to rethread my machine. All right, so this is a lighter orange. And now I can add some highlights to what I've already put in. Let's see how it looks. Oh, good, it is making a difference. I wasn't sure, but I'll show you in just a minute. And don't fill in too much because you don't want it to all blend in. And I'm putting the lighter orange to the inside because what the effect is as that molten energy gets further from the source, it gets cools and gets darker. So I'm keeping the light orange in nice and close. Okay. Let me... Okay, let's see. Every once in a while, these threads will catch on the feet, so just be prepared with your little snips to trim them and keep moving on. Okay. Okay. All right. So now, do you see how it's starting to, get more of a glow look? And that's what you want. And that's why I do the threads all in the same direction. And I just vary their density and their length. All right. So now I'm going to switch again. Whoops. Hold on. Where's my presser foot? Lost my presser foot. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm not going to go to a light yellow because I'm going to, well, I will in a minute, but that will be on this. But for right now, I'm going to try this golden. So it's yet another step lighter. And I'm not doing too much. I don't want to build up a whole bunch of thread. I just want to put enough on there to get a glowing to any thread painting you're going to do. See how, to give some shading to the planet, I just did these lines. And they weren't perfect straight, but they weren't zigzag or they weren't too crazy. Mostly just laying in a touch of color to give some definition. Okay, so this golden color I'm going to keep right at the edge of the fabric, okay? Because as I said before, as this molten eruption, as the gases get farther from the opening, the gash in the planet, they get darker. And closer to the molten area, they get lighter from the heat. So I've got to keep the light color in tight to that fabric that I put underneath the reverse applique. And I have to stop every once in a while and turn the fabric so that my threads are going at the right angle. Okay. Okay. Just keep turning it around. And your hands will get a little tired. That's why I keep saying every week, I'm going to find my machinegers. And I will. They're probably upstairs and under a pile. I'm really good about my having piles. In every room, there's a pile of something I'm working on. I claim that it's because there's so many interesting things in my life. But Mark might have another explanation. Okay, now. Now let me cut the thread and see what you think of this. Let me get this. Sometimes a thread gets caught under some of the stitching and you just have to kind of dig it out. But here we go. So I think this looks a lot more like a glow around it. So now the last thing I'm going to do is get a very pale color, probably this one. And remember, this is the very thick thread, but I love this light yellow. So let me get this. And I'll put a few highlights down the center. And in fact, sometimes when I start working on the highlights, isn't it amazing what thread can do? It is amazing. But every once in a while, when I'm working on this, I tend to forget exactly where I want to put the highlights because I'm turning it around all which way. And I'm trying to get this at a slightly better angle for you. Okay, so now I'm orienting. I'm going to want a highlight here. I'm going to want a highlight here. And I'm going to want a highlight here and here. And I kind of draw the highlight with the chalk. And that way, when I do this, then just a little line of across there. I do this with the chalk, and then I know to cover it up. And this is just the Taylor's chalk that I like to get by Clover. And it runs usually about $2 to $2.50 a piece. And I have it in blue, yellow, red, and white because it's a wonderful thing. And it's inexpensive. It marks so easily, and it just brushes out. In fact, if you have some kind of like a clean old toothbrush, you can use that to get it out. Now this thread is very thick. This is the one I was telling you about last week. So I have to be careful. Oh, it got through. Yay. Okay. Now this one I have to be a little more careful because it's very thick. Okay. I don't know what the weight was. I couldn't find it last week. But it is very thick. It's probably a 20 weight. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going in here. And my stitches are going to go this way. So don't go too fast because it will get hung up and break. All right. Then I'm going to go this way with some stitches. It's like the highlight looked like a little burst. So, all right, let me see how this is looking. Oh, very good. I need a little bit more right in the middle here. So I'm going to go back over to this side and make this side a little longer so it'll fill in that middle. All right. I think I filled that out good. So I'm going to cut the thread, and I'm going to come down to this next highlight, which is right here. And this highlight, okay, I'm going to go just back and forth, not too fast. Ooh. You can hear it kind of want to get hung up, so I want to make sure it doesn't get too hung up. All right, cut it. There, that's very good. I love using these snips because I have terrible arthritis and all I have to do is push to close. It opens with the spring, and the less stress on my hands, the better. Okay, so I've got this, 1, 2, 3, and then here. Okay, I'm going to all right, let's see. Okay, whoops, come back up. I think I've got it. So, by Jove. All right. And I think for right now, sometimes when you do thread painting, the underneath threads can get a little hung up under there. But here we go. Now, I think it looks a little less like a gummy worm. A little less like a gummy worm and a little more like a molten eruption. Okay, I'll show you guys. See it? So it went from one of these to now this. Does that give you a good idea? Nope, I didn't even change the needle. I didn't even change the needle. And be looking. If anybody gets tired and wants to give up, like some people just want to get rid of old thread. It doesn't matter how old it is. Sometimes people don't like using old thread because they're afraid that the thread's going to be weaker. But for thread painting, it doesn't matter. It's just a surface application. That lamp is bright in my eyes. But anyway, so it's coming along. And as you see, as I do each one of these things here and give it the glow, you can see where it really brings it to life. Also, one thing that I do, I had to take off the interfacing back here. Might be a good idea if I fuse on another piece of interfacing. I cut it away so that I could get back there and work my stitches. Do you see how I filled in the area and then I did the needle turn reverse applique? Okay. And then these dark big patches are done regular applique. So I may want to go ahead but anyway, I'll give you, right now it kind of looks like a circle that people threw Good and Plenty's on. But it will come together. Now, I thought while we're still here, because it gets boring to watch me thread paint, but why don't we, oh, thank you, sweetie. And don't worry, it's in its awkward stage. Remember how I told you about, when it looks like gummy worms all over it, jelly beans, then you know it's in its awkward stage. But what I'm going to do now is, and it's good to mark the top of your quilt, because one of the problems I had is trying to figure out which way is up or down. Because if you don't mark it, especially with a round planet, you might end up putting in, let me heat up my iron, but I'm going to take my chalk and I'm going to put arrows. And I'm going to do several of them. The reason is because as I'm working with it and handling it, my hand might rub off some of the chalk, but hopefully at least one of them. Okay, so do you see how I put arrows up here? All right. And let me show you my inspiration again. This right here, this one, that's the one I just did. So now here it is. Okay? So that is that. And I don't do them absolutely perfect. I do them close enough. You see what I just did? I just misted that with water. Every time I do more thread painting, I will come in here and press it flat again. Because the art of thread painting tends to want to draw it up. So, and in fact, while I'm here, let me put some pieces of stabilizer on the back because that will help keep it from drawing up. Whoops. Because like I said, when I got the planet stitched down, I cut through the underneath part. Oh, maybe I can use this again. All right. So I want to put that back on because this was a stabilizer I had on the background fabric. When I put the planet fabric on top of that, then I cut it away so I could work more carefully to put my reverse applique because I didn't want that edge was getting in my way of putting the fabric behind here. And like I'll show you right here. Here's two fabrics that I put together, and then when I cut them out, I'm not going to take this away yet. I may want to cut another hole in the front to get a little more color to come through to the front. But I'm just going to take, just in case this doesn't want to hold good again, I'm just going to put some little touches of glue. Then I'll feel what size feels lumpy. That goes down. Put this on it and give it a good press. That'll help stabilize it so when I do future thread painting, it holds good. And you could put, you know, whatever, if you wanted to do another whole layer of a lightweight fusible over this to fill in all the missing bits, go for it. But this just helps to keep it from bunching up when you're doing thread painting. You have to have something, trust me, because otherwise it will pull up. This is cheap interfacing, and it's a cheap Pellon. For whatever reason, it's not doing a good job of staying ironed down. Now, sometimes you have to be careful with these. If you iron them too much, the adhesive goes into the fabric, and then the Pellon will be loose. The interfacing will be loose. But now I have a nice flat surface to work on. Keep working to keep your edges smooth, because it does. It will pull up on it. That is for sure. All right. So, if you have any questions, no, the glue, the only thing that will gum up a needle, I have noticed, is fusible web. The Elmer's glue has never gummed up my needle. It dries. Once it's dry, it's not gummy. But the fusible that I put these pieces on will gum up the needle. So what I do is just watch my needle and keep it wiped off. And sometimes the best thing you can wipe it off with is your finger, the warmth of your finger to get it clean. Then go over it with a paper towel. But that's a good question. Good question. So what I want to do now is show you my plan. I'm not going to put this on yet. This will go on once all of my thread painting is done on this planet. But this is what I'm going to use to do the ring. See that ring? I love that ring. And when I saw the little moons in the ring, or the little bits, cosmic bits, rocks and whatever, and then I saw this, I said, oh my gosh, that is the perfect ring material. So what I'm going to do is show you how I'm going to go about this. I want to pick and choose what part of the fabric I use. So I'm not going to cut this out in one piece. Luckily, I got this from Pineapple Fabrics. Let me see. It is Electric Elements, Jim Holtz. And Eclectic Elements by Jim Holtz. And I love this. I got this in numerous colors because it's the perfect space fabric. What's going on? Oh, hi, Bonnie. How are ya? Oh, gosh, when you're getting ready to move, your emotions are all on the edge. I definitely understand that. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut these selvages. Oh, right now I'm having a problem with this joint right here. In fact, if you notice, my fingers drop down. I have to push it up. But, I tell you, I can complain, but I'm on the right side of the dirt. I feel like I shouldn't complain. But I'll complain just a little bit, and then I'll pick myself up and go on again. All right. Here we go. I love this darker part. So now let me bring you back a little. You can see here how it's got that dark streak. That's what I want. So I'm going to be coming in and cutting out the dark where I can get it. And remember, fabric is your tool. That's what helps. Fabrics are your paints. You need to use them. Some people are afraid to cut up their fabric. But if you are afraid to cut up your fabric, you'd be like not wanting to use your paints because you didn't want to use them up. Well, they don't do you a whole lot of good in the tube. So, the same thing with your fabrics. This is what you spent your money on, and you need to use it. All right. So, I'm just going to take the pieces and kind of set them out here. It would be so nice to be able to just cut the shape I need, but it's better to get the shade of the colors that you want. All right, let's see. Oh, I love this. I mean, when you go looking for fabrics, this is what you want. You want fabric that has light areas, dark areas, mottled areas. That's how I buy my fabric, is what potential it gives me to do the landscape or art quilt thing that I'm trying to achieve. So you might look sometimes and go, why is she buying that fabric? Because it gives me all kinds of possibilities. All right. So here we go. Let me bring this out. But Bonnie, we're so tickled to see you, sweetie, and we're thinking of you. And I know what it felt like to pick up and move to a place I'd never been and didn't know many people, but it was the best thing for me. If I had stayed where I was, I would never have made my own YouTube channel. So I can assure you it's a good thing, sweetheart. but I wish I could be there to give you a hug. Oh, and good news. Today, the CDC said that they don't think the COVID sticks on surfaces is easily spreadable. Pardon me. They don't think the COVID virus, the coronavirus, COVID-19, is easy to pick up from surfaces as they first were worried it would be. Good news. All right. Now, so what I'm going to do is look and see right here by this planet, it's brighter because it's getting reflection from the molten areas. And as it gets further out here, it is darker. So I know I'll be saving my dark zoom around here. And oh, look at this. This is perfect. The light area is right up by the planet. So let me get my chalk marker out. And this, I'm just going to go and zoom a space like that. And then come down here. Now it's widest out here. And it goes to almost, there we go. Whoops, let me bring this in just a little. I can't go too close to the edge of the quilt. Okay. All right. So, see what I'm doing? I'm just kind of drawing in the shape of this. And then this would be a good piece for back here because it's a little, well, might not be dark enough. Let me see. Kind of want to use this over here, but yeah, for right now, I'll just work this in over here. So it's going to come up like this, and I'm just going to draw this like, draw it like this. So it'll go right across here. Okay. Whoops. Oh. And then just kind of just working with it, see how it looks. All right. And then I'll have to fit in a place here. But I like that I have this light part right here. So let me... Oh, you were. Yeah, and you just have to, that's why I like drawing with chalk, because you can erase it, do it again. And like an artist once told me, he was an amazing artist, and he said, always leave your mistaken line in place until you make your new line. Like I did right here. I had drawn it, it was too straight. I needed to come back out, but I left that there. And now I can, I can go ahead and erase it now. But he said, if you don't do that, you'll tend to keep drawing it in the wrong place again. So you use the wrong line as a kind of reminder and marker where you don't want it to be. All right, so now I'll come in here. And the front is definitely a lot wider. Front is a lot wider, so I come in and I don't go quite as deep as I was thinking I would. Come around and then, okay. Now let's see how this is going to look. Now, this is probably not quite as light or dark as I would like it to be. But I'm not worried because what I have in my toolkit, my ink tints pencils, and I can come over them with a gray bark or gray, and I can put in lines and darkness, because they do have some lines to show the rings, the way the rings kind of separate and stuff. So then I will just put them in with my ink tints. So what I'm trying to do is just give a base here. Now let's say I don't want it as dark. I want it a little brighter. Well, most of the brightness is coming from the heat off of the molten areas. So then I add yellow to that. Let me show you. So I add yellow to brighten it. I add bark color to darken it. And once I know exactly, I have it ready to go, then I'll cut these parts to have it fit just right. And then across the front, if you notice on here, it's a little invisible. I may try to take some tulle and dye it. I'll see if that works. I'm not sure if it will. If worse comes to worse, all I have to do is get some thread and thread paint across the front to represent it. But if I cannot put a solid piece of fabric, because you can see through it. See my point? So now for these, it's tricky enough. But what I'll do to make it look see-through is to come in here with my ink tints and color in the squirrels. Now you want donuts, you cutie! Or bear claw. Oh. I took art classes in high school, and then I took a color class in college. I only went to college 1 year, and I took a color class. But it's just something I love. And along the way, I took in adult continuing ed, I took a painting class, but mostly I'm self-taught. I kind of try to figure it out and see what happens. And I love that. But that's kind of you to ask. Thank you. So anyway, so now I've just given you an overview of where I'll be going this week. I've got to finish turning my gummy worms and jelly beans into molten shaded areas. Then I will get my rings cut out. And see, to make this really look good, I've got to darken it. I've got to soften the edges. I may take some black thread and do some thread painting in this also, because thread painting is amazing at blending areas so that this doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. But this, having all the dots in it, is just what a fine this fabric was. And then I'll come in and cut this. So, and I'll show it. I have to have it like just right so it looks like it's passing in front and going behind the planet. So it will get there. Right now, it's at its awkward stage. Like here, where I've got these sunbursts, I need to come into the planet and continue them, because this, to kind of have some continuity. So I'll come here with the bright thread, bring it in a little bit, and so I think I may do some more applique to model the planet and make it look like a lot is going on. I also like the way this one has some sheen to it, as if from a sun not too far from it. I may work on the sheen. If I do that sheen, that is such a fine, careful thing that this is what I would use to do it. I would come in here and get some gel medium, but I would use the ink tints for if it's going to be reflected light from a sun. And I'll hold that up and show you. But that's where I'm going with it. But this is where, when they say mixed media, they mean it. But see, once I once I soften that. Bye, Bonnie, sweetheart. Take good care. Oh, Deb. Personally, I'm not. I'm sorry. But anyway, that's what I would use. I would use the ink tints to give a sheen to that. All right. Well, let me now spend a little time talking to you. So I'm hoping you see I'm in the stage. Woo! I'm in the stage of blocking things out. And again, I want to say getting these mini comic boards from Connecting Threads, best thing I ever did. It is so easy to go find my fabric now and start work. And let me tell you something I've learned in this life. If you make things easy as you can, you're more likely to do it. If you have to go to a lot of trouble to do something, you will put it off and not do it. So one thing I've learned about art quilting is set your room up for success and just have everything, have a place for everything, keep it in its place so that when you come down, you can get right to work. Because if you have to search for everything, or if you're not sure where everything is, you'll go, I'll keep watching this television program. Ask me how I know. So, what is going on here? Hello, Kay Sterlicini. It is very nice to meet you. And good. Aren't comic book boards? Let me see if I have some back here to show you. And I get them on sale. I've gotten them on sale from Connecting Threads, so they're like $7.99 for a stack of 100. They're wonderful. The nicest thing about comic boards is they're archival. They will not damage your fabric. And I wrap the fabric around them. And then I use a very large paper clip to clip the fabric in place. And it's wonderful. And then I went to the dollar store and got mini laundry baskets. And I just stack them all in and by color. And it's changed my life. And some people can work in chaos. I can't. But mainly it's getting me going. If you get me going on something, I get a little inertia and you get me going, I will work and produce something. But if it's too hard, So, but anyway, now some people cut up their own cardboard and make their own storage things. The only thing is, just know that regular cardboard has a lot of acid in it, and over time it could damage your fabrics. But it would probably take a good while, so don't panic. And it's definitely cheaper to use free cardboard. But I think I ended up going through 5 packs of the 100 board comic boards. And now some of the pieces I folded on it really could have been folded into like a larger than a fat quarter. But there's something really nice about having everything stacked and I can just flip through it like you would, a newspaper. The smaller pieces. Okay. This is a good thing. Fat quarter-ish, fat eighth-ish. I fold them into a consistent size, and I got silverware trays. Okay, let me show you. Let me grab some. Okay. I got these little silverware drawer inserts from the dollar store. And then I fold them all to a uniform size. Now, I'm not like crazy picky about size, but I fold them to about the same size. And then I just stick them in here. And these go in the shelves I have shelves in the closet, just those cheap closet shelves, metal, and I have these, and I just stuff these in. And they're divided by color. Here are my whites and creams, and a little bit of goldens in there, but that's what I do. And that way you can see everything. Because if I can't see it, I won't use it. I used to use those 3-drawer plastic bins on rollers, but it's hard on my back to bend over and to get into them. I still do use them, but I use them more for small scraps, and I just segregate those by color. And when I say small scraps, it has to be about this big for me to save it anymore, because I just don't have time to mess with it. Now, there are certain, if it's a really good fabric, then I'll save in a bag some smaller scraps that I can use for landscape quilts and for applique work. But in fact, is Miss Jody still here? She paid for the shipping to get a huge bag of my scraps because they were weighing me down. They were sitting over on the counter, getting in the way. And I just thought, I know it's the rage for everybody to cut them into pieces, but that's not something that made me happy. So instead of them being a treasure for me, they were a burden. And I just decided one day, I don't need to save these. I just don't. And so Jody said she paid shipping and she got them and she was happy. And see, that's the wonderful thing. It freed me up and it gave her a treat. So that was a great thing. Because if she hadn't taken them, I was going to throw them away. I said, they're bringing me down. I can't have them in my house. So, what are you going to do? But anyway, so that's kind of how I store my fabric now. And I have these shelves in the closet and the mini laundry baskets and have the boards standing in them. And they go in by color. And it took me a while to get them done. I started a cleaning up video to kind of just show you how I go about tackling the room. Because, my countertop was 3 feet high, just chock-a-block junk. And I am going to finish that one day and put it on there for you. Because the thing is just how do I tackle this room? Because if you look at it first, it's too big. It's too big. And I just went surface by surface. And that I'll go into it on the video. And it really did help me because it had gotten overwhelming. So, yeah, it does take the fun away when you come down the room and it's like, oh my God, where do I turn first? And I had to kind of give up some things. I used to always feel like I had to wash my fabric as soon as it came in the room. But if you wash your fabric, then you've got to iron and starch it because you take away the sizing. Because one time I had one quilt run. Well, I don't know if one quilt in 30 years is worth always washing your fabric. And now we have color catchers. So I can put it in with a color catcher and not worry. And so I had to give up on that. It's like, why did I feel like I had to have that rule that all my fabrics got washed? Gave that up. Now, if you still have to because you're allergic to the sizing you put on fabric, I totally understand. But I had to kind of scale back on how prissy I was going to be. And I'm using that term for me, prissy, because some of this was a little competition in my brain and being a little bit prissy to see who could be the most whatever. I don't have time for that. I'm 64 years old right now. And you know what? Daylight's wasted. So I've learned to give up some of the impediments that got in my way and get down to having fun. Because I raised 3 kids, I've put the work in, and now it's my playtime with this fabric. It's for me to have fun. And if I don't do it, it's my own fault now. So anyway, like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. You're exactly right. I love that. I love that. Yep. In fact, I have this room down here in the basement. And then I took the second guest room, which our kids don't come and stay. We've got one guest room, and then the other was just sitting there. I turned that into my frame room. Mark said, well, you've got 2 rooms for your stuff. And I went, yeah. Yeah. So, raise your hand if at one point your sewing room was your dining room table and you would just get everything just set up and you'd have to clean it all up to another meal for the kids. We've all been there. And if we've got the space now, use it and enjoy it. So I love that there's some kind of saying or phrase of, you save your best dress or your best dishes for that special day, and that special day is not going to come. So enjoy them. Oh, yay. Good job. Cheryl wins. But these now is such a happy room. And my upstairs room, my frame room, I painted to look like it's undersea. And I have little Nemo and all of those things. I have 3 of them hanging from the ceiling. That's my childlike wonder place. And I love it. It makes me so happy. So both of my rooms, I said, I'm doing what makes me happy. And it's a lot of fun. So anyway, well, it's about time for me to get going. Mark's going to have dinner upstairs. Oh, there you go, Deb. Yes. Yep. And just everything has to have a place, and it goes back into the place, and you've got to be able to just have fun. And you know what? Now that we've done the hard work is behind us, raising kids and all of this, isn't it time that we put as much energy into having fun? So that would be great. Oh, you know what? There actually is a video. If you go way back to the beginning, I did a video. It's kind of an undersea blue, and it might say my frame room. And I love it. I keep my paper bead supplies in there, and my long arm is in there, and an extra sewing machine so I can sew upstairs if I want. And it just makes me happy. So that's important. Oh, did she say happy birthday. I missed that part on Monday. That's wonderful. And it's nice to see another Deb or Debbie in here. I used to be Debbie, but I said that promises more energy than I have. So, oh, good. Well, I'm glad I could give you a few little things to think about. But, and just remember, it all goes with art quilting. You can use anything. You can use markers. You can use colored pencils. You can use chalks. You can use pastels. It all goes. And if it goes into making a beautiful quilt, then you've just added beauty to the world. And you know what? We can all use as much beauty as we can get. So thank you so much. If you have any other questions, please. And you know what? Feel free to send me, hold on, let me type it in. I would love to see any pictures of your space or work you're doing. And if you don't mind, our time to quilt at twc.com. I just realized I forgot to show y'all the pictures people sent in. Make sure you come back with me Sunday or next Thursday, and I'll make sure to show them all, okay? It is great spending time with you, and send me any pictures you'd like to share, and I'll share them with the whole group. So of your room, your sewing space, or something you've made you really love. Oh, please do, Deb, and let me know. Personally, I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce your name, but I'm trying. So, and then who was the K or Kate up here a little bit ago? I'm so tickled to see these new names. Please stay in touch. Every Thursday we do art quilts. We'll probably be finished with these space art quilts next week. Then after that, it's going to be a self-portrait. And it can be a funny dolly style. It can be any kind of thing you want. It's just a self-portrait. Here it is. K. Sterlicini, and but anyway, we would absolutely love to have you join in at any point in time. Oh, I did. Oh, good. Well, my sweetheart, his last name is Mastronardi, and I'm sensing an Italian vibe, so I've learned to try to pronounce those names correctly. So that's great. And Sunday, we do a 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or New York time, 3 p.m. and 3:05 exactly. And I take more time. We spend almost 2 hours together. So take good care, everybody. Use masks, use gloves, use distance, because you mean a lot to me, and I want you to stay safe and healthy. Okay? Take good care, and good luck art quilting this week. Bye-bye, guys. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Take good care. See you next week or Sunday. Bye-bye, guys.